Views and opinions expressed may not reflect those of the Allen County Public Library, Access Fort Wayne, and/or any other supporting groups. If you are interested in producing your own programs for Access Fort Wayne, you can contact us at 260-421-1250.
Welcome to Countyline. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and welcome to Countyline, the program that features news and information about Allen County government. Well, it is summertime, the time of year that everybody loves because they get to get away on vacation for maybe a week or several weeks. You know who else likes this time of year? Burglars. And whether you live in a subdivision similar to this one, or in an apartment complex, or even in a home in a rural area of Allen County, your home could be targeted by these thieves. So we wanted to take the opportunity to share some information and advice with you about ways you can protect yourself and your home. Corporal Jeremy Tinkle is the Public Information Officer in the Allen County Sheriff's Department, and he's here to talk with us about that subject today. Jeremy, thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Mike.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, first of all, this time of year is really a peak time for home break-ins, right?
Even nationally speaking, the statistics say that generally, I believe July and August are the highest month for burglaries. The weather's warm outside. Generally, when you had the burglaries do go down in the wintertime because most people aren't outside, especially in Indiana. You have cold weather, colder temperatures, the days are shorter. People committing these crimes generally aren't out and about. So once the weather warms up, the days get longer, especially people who are out of school, that's when you tend to see an increase in burglaries.
Now, the old saying is sometimes to catch a thief, you have to think like a thief, and maybe sometimes to prevent a theft, you have to think like one also. So let's talk a little bit, I guess, in general terms, the makeup of these individuals who usually commit this kind of crime and why they do it.
Generally, you're looking at younger adults, not necessarily all the time. The reason 95% of the time they're doing this is probably to support a drug habit. They need the money. What they'll do is they'll break in homes. They look for, a lot of times, smaller items, cash, jewelry, a lot of times guns. What they do is then take them to pawn shops, either sell them there or they'll sell them on the street for a minimal amount of money to be able to support their drug habit.
And sometimes you think, well, these probably happen a lot overnight or during the evening hours. But a fair amount of these are done during the daytime.
The majority of home break-ins happen during the day. And the reason for that is generally nobody's home.
Yep.
Like you mentioned in your opening segment, people go on vacation a lot in the summertime. They're gone for a couple weeks at a time. A lot of people travel. Mothers that are stay at home, they're taking their kids to the pool. So a lot of times they're leaving the house open and vulnerable for a target like that.
Okay, now, I've heard the term hard targeted. That's what you want to make your house. So let's talk a little bit about some simple ways to go about preventing becoming a victim. Doors and locks. It's pretty simple that you want to make sure you lock your door before you leave, but sometimes the actual kind of door you have and the lock you have could be inviting to a burglar.
Correct. Make sure it's updated. I mean, have a deadbolt.
Right.
Make sure that the deadbolt is keyed from both sides. That way, if you have a window on the door, the person can't break the window, reach in and just unlock the deadbolt. Very easy for them to get in. Windows, shut them, make sure they're locked when you're away from the house. I know summertime, a lot of people want to leave the windows open so they can get the fresh breeze inside. But really, that's just inviting somebody to say, hey, come on in and take what I have.
And it's usually a lot easier for them to do that as opposed to having to break a door in.
Yes, so I mean, if you have a house that's sealed up, the windows are closed up, the doors are locked, then you may have one down the street where the burglar sees and says, oh, here's an open window. They're definitely going to move on to the one that's a little bit more vulnerable than the one that's harder to do.
And that's really what they're doing. Do these guys usually case an area, lack of a better term, for a while? What are they looking for specifically? You mentioned the windows. What other telltale signs can there be?
Yeah, they're definitely casing the place. They're looking for when people are leaving from work. They're looking for windows that are open, doors that may have been left open, side garage doors. A lot of time the service doors, people forget about those and they leave them unlocked. It's very simple for them to just go up and wiggle it, and if it opens, they're going to come on in. Also, a lot of tips for if you're leaving, going on vacation. Make sure that if you have newspapers, have the neighbor pick them up. Don't let them pile up in the driveway, because that just says, hey, I'm not home.
And you can even call the newspaper office, and they'll usually hold your papers for you so they don't even show up in the...
Yeah, they'll stop service for you.
And what other little telltale signs? Like the landscape in your yard's going to be a dead giveaway.
Right.
If you...
Make sure everything is maintained. If the yard is mowed, even when you're going out of town, maybe go for several weeks at a time. Hire somebody to take care of your yard, because that's just saying, hey, I'm not home. Make sure that when you have shrubbery in front of your house that it's trimmed down. You're not having large shrubbery in front of windows, because it's very easy for somebody to hide behind that. Also, a big one, if you're going out of town or you're going on vacation, strongly suggest not having yourself or your children post anything on Facebook saying, hey, we're going on vacation for 2 weeks. Because it's very easy for a burglar to get on a computer, and they can even access it at the Allen County Library, go on and, hey, these people are away for 2 weeks. That's an open invitation.
Yeah, it gets easier and easier these days to find out who you are on social media and exactly where you live, so they can figure that out pretty easy these days.
Right.
What about home security lighting? You want to give the impression that you're at home. So what tips can you give as far as what kind of lighting you should have around?
Well, I would make sure that in the outdoors, if you can put up a motion light, those are definitely helpful. Just because of the fact that you have somebody walking around your backyard that may be looking at it at night, that motion light goes off, and that's generally going to scare that person, and have them move on to a different target. Also, lights in homes, if you're going to be gone, they make some simple timers that you can just set, plug in, and it'll turn on at a certain time at night. That way it gives the impression that somebody is home.
Talk a little bit about things such as identifying any stolen property. If the break-in occurs, what kind of things do people need to do to protect their valuables?
Well, obviously there's insurance policies if it's something of extreme value. Obviously check your insurance agent on that. But make sure, if you have firearms, write down the serial number, the model number, and the make. That way, if something like this does happen, when the police do show up, you have that information that can be put in our system right away. So if they do try to pawn that gun, it's going to come up stolen right away, or if we happen to recover it, we know that it's stolen, so we can get it back to the proper owner. Make sure you photograph your valuables. If you photograph your valuables, that's going to help you in the long run. If you do have an insurance claim, that way you're proving to them that, yes, I did in fact own these.
And it's getting simpler and simpler to do these days with digital cameras, and you can hang on to those pictures a lot easier. Take pictures of like a serial number on the back of something. And it's important to keep in mind, folks, also that it's not necessarily just the big items that they're looking to steal. In fact, more than likely, they're looking for small stuff that they can get out easily with.
Very easily, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get in and out as quick as possible. Now, in this day and age with the size of the TVs that we have, people are not going to want to carry 65-inch TVs out the door, because it's going to be very noticeable to everybody else. So make sure your valuables are locked up. Jewelry, buy a safe, hide it somewhere, make sure they're not laying out in plain sight. If you do keep cash in your home, put it somewhere where it's out of plain sight so they can't see that. Also keep in mind that if you do not close your blinds during the day, anybody can walk around your house, look in there, and if they see something, which may be cash, jewelry, firearms, anything of value that you have, that's going to be a little bit more inviting to you.
Yeah, reduce that temptation as much as possible. You mentioned this before, but it's important to stress to work with your neighbors, even if you're in a close proximity like you are in a subdivision, or in a rural setting where maybe your neighbor's a quarter of a mile away. It's still a good idea to make that contact and work with them.
Being a good neighbor is probably the best prevention that you can do when it comes to burglaries, crimes in your neighborhood. Because as police, we do patrol and we do go through neighborhoods. Even though we do the patrol, we don't know your neighborhood like you know your neighborhood. You obviously know if your neighbor has something out of place at their home. Well, that car's there. That car maybe shouldn't be there. I wonder why that car's there. Oh, they have newspapers piling up. Maybe I should walk over there and find out why, or maybe gather them up. Their yard isn't mowed. I know they're on vacation. I'll go ahead and take care of that. Being a good observer is going to be the best prevention that you can possibly do. If there is a car in the driveway that you may not recognize or parked in the street, or you find it suspicious and you feel that it's, your gut usually is the right thing, try to get the license plate number. Call the police. That's what we're here for. We'll send a car out and we'll check the neighborhood out. It's better to be safe than sorry in something like this.
But stressing that they should call you folks. They should not try to go out and be the Crime Stopper themselves.
Correct. We would never ever want to put anybody, as far as the citizens, in harm's way. That's why we have the training, that's why we go through it, and that's what we're paid to do. And nobody should ever feel that they're burdening us or well, this is not something that's serious. No, that's what we're here to do, because really, if you do call us, it may turn into, yeah, this guy's the one who's been burglarizing neighborhoods, and you may help us solve 4 or 5 burglaries.
If folks need more information or more advice from you, who do they need to call?
They can always give our dispatch line a call, 449-3000, and they can give you information. They can patch you through to me. Of course, our website, www.allencountysheriff.org, has some information on it. I'm on the front page. My email address is on the front page. Feel free to contact me if you need to.
Well, hopefully you'll take these words to heart, and if you're going to be heading out, even for a long weekend or for several weeks, take the time to think about what Jeremy shared with us and try to make your home as burglar-proof as you possibly can. You'll be happier when you get back and see everything's still in place. Well, on previous Countyline programs, we've talked about some opportunities available to business and industry in our community to recycle that are part of the Allen County Solid Waste Management District's programs. Well, now an opportunity exists to recognize those businesses and industries that have been participating and have been doing recycling programs. And we're going to talk about the awards that are available, as well as a way to get the word out about recycling opportunities to the public through businesses. Jody Lehman is the Business Technical Coordinator with the Solid Waste Management District. And Jody, it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate you having us over. So let's talk a little bit about the Recycling Awards program, which has been going on for actually quite a while here in Allen County.
It sure has. It's the 23rd year this year, and we have an open call for nominations going on right now through July 31st. That's open to any business, organization, or nonprofit in Allen County. And they can go on our website and they can look at the criteria. If they've been reducing waste in any way throughout the past year, they can nominate themselves.
And it could be small, big, in between, any size counts.
Sure, yeah. We're looking for creativity and innovation, and we're looking for taking the message out into the community as well.
Well, you have 2 basic awards that you give out. One of them is called the 3R Award. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's reduce, reuse, recycle. We like to always promote reduction of waste as the first measure, and then reusing and recycling. And so that would go to anyone who's taken measures to reduce, reuse, or recycle the waste material at their business or organization.
And then the other is called the Closing the Loop Award.
Closing the Loop is the one where things can get a little more creative. So that is where we're looking for an organization that takes its waste material and incorporates it back into its operations. So, for example, last year the Closing the Loop Award went to GM Fort Wayne Assembly, where they actually have taken the sludge from their wastewater treatment and put that into concrete, which they then use on premises for their test driving tracks and things like that.
Okay. How about some examples of the 3R Award from some previous winners? So folks kind of have an idea, I guess, if they are interested.
Sure.
What are you looking for?
Last year, Three Rivers Federal Credit Union was a winner for 3R Award, and they actually built a new branch They built it LEED certified, which is something above and beyond what we handle, but they took all the demolition debris and all the construction waste, and they recycled all of that material. In addition to changing their business practices, they went mostly digital with brochures and pamphlets and paperwork and things like that, so they're reducing as well. And then they made changes to the way that they set up the office in the new building so that it would be more streamlined toward the reduction and recycling of waste.
Okay, but you also have nonprofits and organizations,
Sure.
not just businesses
Oh yeah,
themselves.
we've had churches, universities, Goodwill Northeast was a winner last year. They take in material for resale at their stores, but
Right.
if they can't do that, they will recycle and reuse those items as well in different ways.
Okay. Now, you mentioned you can go on the district's website to find out more information, fill out the form and everything. What's the deadline for getting nominations in?
July 31st
Okay.
is the deadline. The awards will be held in August. The date should be set any moment now, but end of August sometime we'll have the awards ceremony.
Right, and it's a luncheon that the district sponsors that you give out the awards at.
Yeah. it will be.
Okay, great. Okay, so folks can be thinking about that as far as recycling awards are concerned. Now, we also mentioned that there's a way to get information out to the public about businesses and industries that offer recycling programs to the community. Tell us about that.
This is our Waste Watcher publication.
Okay,
This goes out every year to the public.
let me hold that up and we'll get a shot of it, and go ahead and tell us
It's
about
going to
it.
go out to around 60,000 households. We put that out as a service to the public so that they can learn how to reduce, reuse, and recycle almost anything you can think of, from paint, furniture, household hazardous waste. I mean, those weird odds and ends, light bulbs, batteries, anything that you might be coming out of your household that probably shouldn't go in the landfill. There are resources in that book for what to do with those things.
So if a business or industry offers recycling opportunities for the public, how do they get in this?
Again, they can go onto our website, acwastewatcher.org. Just give us, hit the contact us button and let us know who they are, and then we'll work with them. It's a password protected system, so they would go online with us, guiding them through the system as to how to enter their information.
Now this is, geez, seems like there's a lot of
It's
people
pretty
in here.
extensive.
So are some of these things that we don't necessarily generally think about in terms of recycling and reusing?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. Mattresses, some, I think I mentioned paint, cleaning products, automobile parts, appliances, just everything you can think of, from your curling iron when it stops working to, little plastic widget that, you don't know what to do with when it's done.
I'm looking through here, I see things like paper products, which is pretty obvious, but packing peanuts or mercury. Some folks still have some items that contain mercury in them.
Yeah, some of the older thermometers and barometers.
You've even got steel cans, even video cassettes and DVDs.
Oh yeah, we have those laying around too that we aren't maybe using as much anymore.
Okay, so folks can contact you about getting in here, and again, there's plenty of time for them to get in, and you
Yep.
got till what, about the end of
Again,
August or so, or
Right,
somewhere around
through
there?
August or so, yeah.
And besides the programs that are available to folks, you've also got a lot of tips in here and advice about how to recycle and reuse, so that's great information to pass along
We
as
do.
well. We also talked a little bit in the past, but let's remind folks about the opportunities that the district have for businesses and industries that want to start a recycling program. What do you have available?
We offer what are called waste assessments or waste audits, where I can go into your business or organization, nonprofit, church, whatever, schools, take a look at how you're handling your waste, what kind of products you're buying, what's coming in, and then what's going out in the waste stream as well. So we want to reduce it from the beginning, and then from the exit point, we want to reduce the amount that's going into the landfill there. So We have all kinds of tips and advice on what businesses can do from that standpoint.
Okay. And you'll be having, of course, a couple of the big events coming up in September and October. Your Talks
Sure
Away
do.
Day.
Yep, it's our big season coming up.
And then Talks Away Day involves just folks dropping off.
Yes, Talks Away Day is for residents to come in, bring household items that have those toxic or hazardous labels on them, and then also we can set up for businesses as well. If you give us a call ahead, if a business has some of those items, we can take them as well.
And that comes up, I think it's like Saturday after Labor Day, 6th of September.
It
I
is
believe
first, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then there's Tire Amnesty Day, which will be in October.
Yes, and
That's
again,
pretty simple.
right, those tires that have been sitting around, laying around, and again, if you're a business, we can make special arrangements, but residents can just come on in.
And the district will be putting out more information about those two events as we get closer to them. Jody, thanks a lot for being with us. We appreciate it very much. Hope we get a lot of nominations for you, and that a lot of folks make sure to take this opportunity to be recognized for the work you're doing
Right.
in terms of recycling here in our community, and also make sure that you be a part of the Waste Watcher recycling guide that the district puts out. You can go to the website. The address of the website is
acwastewatcher.org.
Go on the website, find out more about the award program and also the Waste Watcher. Make sure you get your businesses or organization's name in here if you provide recycling opportunities to the public. Well, in the past in our program, we've talked to you about your right to access and have copies made of public records and documents, copies made at a nominal fee for you. Property deed documents are one such form of record that you have right to access and copies made, but there are some businesses that operate and will charge you an inflated price for having copies made and sent to you of those property deed documents. Well, recently the Indiana Attorney General reached an agreement out of court with one such company. And we're going to talk about that because the Allen County Recorder's Office was instrumental in bringing the problem to public light and helping out with getting this type of practice, if not ended, at least slowed down. John McGauley is the Allen County Recorder, and he's with us today. And John, thanks for joining us to begin with.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming over.
Okay, so let's talk about how all of this got started. This has been, as I mentioned, the Attorney General's office just reached this out-of-court settlement with this company, but this has been going on for several years now.
This has been going on, I'm in my 7.5 year of being recorder, and this has been going on since the day I walked in the door. We actually had our first news conference with Attorney General Zeller's predecessor, Steve Carter, 7 years ago. With several other county recorders, just trying to bring the spotlight on this, because at the time we didn't really know what to do, and the best thing we could think of was let people know that they didn't need to do this.
Now, I talked about kind of a general overview, but let's talk specifics about how you came to find out about this practice that was taking place and exactly what was going on.
Yeah. When people buy and sell property, the deeds, the deed records of that come in here pretty quick, within a few days. And there is a company, there are several of them actually, who would get those records fairly soon and send mailings out to these folks saying, we can get you a copy of your deed, you need to have a copy of your deed, it's important for your records, we can get it for you. Here's the money we're going to ask you for. It's a pretty big price, anywhere from $60 to $100, depending on which company you get this from. And we found out about this because people would start coming in the door with these mailings in hand because of the number of times they actually reference our office. They think they're from us. So they come in with these private solicitations, and that's the first way we found out about it. Subsequently, we actually had employees in our office get these mailings, employees in the auditor's office or the assessor's office get these mailings. So they carpet bomb counties every once in a while with these mailings.
Are they sending these out just to about everybody they can think of, just in hopes of getting people in, or do they seem to be targeting different people?
They're only targeting, every once in a while they will say, we're going to send to everybody who's bought a house in Allen County in the last 12 months or 6 months or whatever. But the responses that we get back, are sometimes targeted because they're ethnic people of ethnic origin who may not necessarily understand completely what they're reading. It sounds kind of ominous. It sounds like it's coming from the government, and they feel like they need to respond.
Now, you provided me a copy of one of the notices that have been sent out, and it clearly states at the top regarding Allen County Recorder document, and then it gives a document
More
number.
than once.
and it mentions you several times.
Yeah.
And as you say, that people come in with this, and are they making inquiries, or are they trying to pay you, or?
They're coming in. The first question is did this come from you? The second question is, do we have to do this?
Okay.
And the answer is
No and
no.
no.
And no.
Well, and in the case of this, they're asking for $69.50, including location, retrieval, postage, and handling. If I came into your office today and said, I would like a copy of my deed, what's the charge going to be?
If it's your house, assuming that you didn't sell a shopping mall or something like that,
Right.
if it's your house, you're talking about a maximum of $2.
As opposed to $69.50.
$69.50. And the one you're looking at is one of the lower ones, the lower cost solicitations.
Now, are these usually sent back pretty quickly from these companies, or, I mean, if I walk in here, can I usually get it that day, or does it take a day or two?
Oh no, it takes a minute or two.
Okay.
Assuming that it's something in the last 50 years, all we have to do is look your name up in the computer, and we can pull it up and have you out of here in a couple of minutes for a couple of dollars.
But as far as this company
Yeah.
and $69.50, am I getting that kind of? I'm obviously not getting that kind of turnaround. But what?
No, and one of the problems the Attorney General had with this was the delays. They're not responding in a timely manner. Sometimes we're talking months or years to get the deed back that you can get here in a couple of minutes. And that's one of the problems the Attorney General had with this, was they're not responding in anything that would be considered a timely manner.
In your investigation of all of this, were you finding that this was going on in other places in Indiana, or were they just looking at Allen County in particular?
This was going on all over the state of Indiana. When we had our first news conference here in 2007 about this, standing beside us were the recorder from Elkhart County and the recorder from Lake County. It's happening everywhere. And the court case you mentioned earlier, Attorney General Zeller filed, actually applies to the entire state of Indiana.
Now, in fairness to the company, I must say, if
Yes.
you look down, as you read on, about midway down, it does indicate that the company is not affiliated with a government agency, and it also, in capital letters, many government records are available free or at a nominal cost from government agencies. So they even pointed out that you don't have to go through the service. But as I say, it's about midway down, so I guess that's kind of their hope, is that you're not going to read the whole thing and you'll just pony up $69.50.
And that's after an erroneous reference in this thing to a federal government website that they claim says you really ought to have this.
You're referring to the U.S. Government Federal Citizen Information Center
I
website?
am.
You mean there's no such website?
Well, there is such a website,
Okay.
but on that website you will find a statement from them saying, this solicitation's going around that references us. We never said that.
So what were they accused of by the Attorney General? I mean, obviously they have made reference that you don't have to do business with us, yet he found, what were they violating?
The Attorney General actually alleged that they were in violation of the Indiana Deceptive Commercial Solicitation Act for a number of reasons. The references to endorsements is what it says in the settlement. You can't imply an endorsement that doesn't exist, and in that, I believe that they're talking about these references to us, references to other government agencies that say you should do this. What they've done is come up with a settlement here that says this thing has to start looking like a pure commercial offer. They've put a number of restrictions on them and they agreed to them. This was actually an out-of-court settlement.
Right.
That says this thing has to start looking like a sales offer and not a letter from the government.
Okay. So they can obviously continue to at least reference the fact the deed was recorded. I mean, they're referencing facts, but at the same time, there's that people can infer by looking at this that you have something to do with this, and that's what they want to cut out.
That's what they want to cut out. They want to make it clear that this is coming from somebody who's trying to make money off of it and not necessarily from the government, because the speed at which people would receive these after they bought a home tricked some people into believing that this was part of the process of transferring a property, is that after it's all said and done, you have to pay to get a copy of your records. And it's true, you do have to pay to get a copy of your records, but about 30 times less than what they're asking.
Our property documents, is this the only kind of document that you have here that people are trying to, in essence, make a buck or two or 69 off of from your office? I mean, do you hear of other type of schemes, for lack of a better word, of this type?
Yeah. There are other companies that actually go a little bit further in trying to sell you a profile of information that Allen County has done a tremendous job in recent years of making available to people free online. This is the only document that we've ever seen that people are trying to resell, but they also go out there and try to resell, the information that's on your property card that the assessor makes available online, things like that. They hope that to save 5 minutes online, you'll pony up $100.
And as you say, there's a lot of work that your office has been doing over the last 7 years to make more of this available online. Are property deed documents something that's available online?
Absolutely. We have, last time we checked, 3.2 million documents available online, and that includes every deed that's ever been recorded in Allen County. Previously, we only went back about 40 years, but we've subsequently made them all available and a lot easier to search. There's a little bit more of an added cost if you get them online, but still we're talking, many, many times less than this.
And much faster than some of these, because as you said, some of these places, they were taking maybe even up to a year or two before they got the document back to you.
In some cases, yes, there were instances where people were waiting, year or years. And our services will get them to you instantaneously, and we'll hand it to you over the counter, or it'll come right to your inbox on your PC.
Now, obviously, this company can continue to do business in Indiana as long as they meet the requirements in the settlement. But do you think that with this settlement and bringing it to light and making it, getting so much publicity, it's going to reduce the number of these companies that either are operating or trying to start operation in Indiana?
This has put so many restrictions on this particular company that it's going to make it difficult, in my personal opinion, for them to do business in Indiana. And another one of these companies that was challenged by the Attorney General down in one of our southern counties has already folded up and left the state. And that's ultimately, our goal here is to bring people back to the sources that they've already paid for. The taxpayers have already bought and paid for this office, and the public records already belong to them.
Right.
So, the only thing they ought to be paying for is the cost of a copy. There are, like I said, some really severe restrictions that they've put them under that will make it clear the next time this letter hits that this is a for-profit company and not a government office.
And hopefully it will put some of these other companies on notice. If you're thinking of coming to Indiana, see what's happened in this situation. Don't think it won't happen to you if that's discovered to be the case.
And we've already, gone out to our network of people across the country that do this similar job, county recorders, registrars of deeds in other states, and said, take a look at this because these guys are doing business in your state too. Bring this to your Attorney General's attention, and maybe we can stop this across the country.
Well, 7 years is a long time, but you stuck with it and you got things taken care of, hopefully. And John, we appreciate your time and explaining how this operates so folks will know more about it. And don't forget, if you have a public record that you'd like a copy or document, property deeds included in the recorder's office or even through the public information office, these are your records, they're your documents, and the cost of the copy is minimal compared to what a private business might be charging you to go and get that document and have a copy made for you. So always research that first. And John, if they have any other questions about services such as this, how do they get hold of your office?
Best way to get us is online, and it's allencountyrecorder.us.
And there's information on their website about that, and also a way to contact them if you need more information. Well, that will wrap it up for another edition of County Line. We thank you for joining us and remind you that you can watch all of our previous County Line programs online through either our YouTube channel or video on demand service. You can reach either of those online sites by going to our website, www.allencounty.us, and then look for both the video on demand or YouTube buttons on the home page. I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and we'll see you again next time on County Line.